Hello and welcome back to another training from the Fast Forward Advisors in the Real Estate Market Report. What we're going to go through right now is wholesale real estate investing, which happens to be, in my personal opinion, the most important real estate strategy out there. It is your bread and butter, your go-to strategy, one that works in every single market because it encompasses a simple idea that has been around from the beginning of mankind. Getting something for a certain dollar amount and moving it for something of a higher value, creating a profit spread there, right? We've done this within the barter system since the beginning of mankind. Our economy is based off of this model. Goods and services are exchanged using this model. Our currency is based off of this model. As you can get from this, it is the most important strategy to know and understand. So we're going to go through some of the basics of it and just understand whether you're a novice, a beginner, or an expert. You should always have this strategy in your tool belt. Now, I've got my good friend and business partner, Mr. Bob. Bob, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Darius. Hey, I think from your introduction that I'm not sure, but I think you like wholesaling.
I love it.
Folks, I have to tell you, I've been doing real estate. I took a real estate class from Robert Allen years and years and years ago, back in 1988. And I have to tell you, in all the things that I've learned throughout my business, I've learned that, in my opinion, I agree with Darius 100%. Wholesaling is the key technique. You can combine it with other techniques. You can do a lot with it. But in my opinion, when a lot of my students come and ask me, hey, Bob, what's the quickest way to make money in real estate? Or, hey, Bob, if you were starting over today, what would you do? My answer to them is always wholesaling.
Very well said. And I mean, the thing about wholesaling that I think a lot of people need to understand is, though it's a basic technique, a lot of people overthink it, but at the same time, in theory, it seems simple, but the application of it requires a certain skill set that once you perfect that and you get proficient at it, it helps you in all facets of real estate. I mean, this simple idea of being able to actually get a property, and let's actually break down what wholesaling is. It's you finding a property at a certain dollar amount, and let's say that dollar amount happens to be $100,000, which is the asking price. So someone is looking to get $100,000 for the property, but the property is worth a lot more than that. Maybe it needs to be rehabbed. Maybe the sellers are just motivated. They have to move the property because they're relocating, or they're going through a divorce, or they just need to liquidate assets. Whatever it may be, they're motivated to sell the property quickly. That's why they're getting rid of it below market value, or the property needs some work. Now, you know, this property, if it was fixed up, it could sell for $180,000. You might have to put into that property $20,000. So if we add those numbers up, and again, you can go through the workbook down below. You can download that, which will outline all of this. But the property being purchased for $100,000, you add $20,000 of work, and now that property can be sold for $180,000. That means that there's $60,000 worth of profit there. Now, let's say that you find this property and you say, you know what, I don't want to do the work. I don't even want to buy the house. I just want to go to contract, sell the contract for a profit spread, and move on. So you can go to contract on the property for $100,000. Then you can find an investor that wants to buy the property, and you assign that contract for $10,000. So that total amount is $110,000. That means that you created $10,000 spread there for really doing maybe a few hours worth of work. So it is one of the best strategies out there. And again, if you want to see a visual breakdown of this, the workbook is down below. Hopefully that you have already downloaded it and you're moving along the video with us. So Bob, there are a lot of different types of wholesaling. Can you kind of break that down? And there's two real main types. Can you get into that?
You just mentioned a both in your example, Darius, which I think is really cool. The first one that you mentioned is flipping the actual property, which means that in your first part of your example, you said, well, you know, what if you want to take title to the property? What if you want to buy the property, put the fix-up in it yourself, and then flip it out the back end or wholesale it out the back end? You certainly can do that, and you can do all the work on the property, or you can buy the property and wholesale. You can just still sell it to somebody else and let them do all the work. But that's actually wholesaling the property itself. If you buy the property first and then you turn it over to somebody else and you sell it to them, and you always have to leave enough what I call meat on the bone for your end buyer to make a profit. If you're wholesaling a property, it means you're selling it at a discount so that your end buyer can also make a substantial profit. On the other hand, the second part of your example, which is actually my favorite, is wholesaling a contract. And that's where you went in, you locked up the property at one price, and you said, okay, I'm going to add a little cushion on here, and I'm going to give it to the other guy at a higher price. So you locked it up for $100,000. You wholesaled it you wholesaled the contract. Basically, you sold your contract for $10,000. So now the end investor is in at $110,000. He puts the $20,000 in. Now he's in at $130,000. But remember, and the after repaired value, the ARV, if you would, on the property is still $180,000. He still makes a lion's share of the profit. He does the lion's share of the work. He takes the lion's share of the risk. But all you did was you found it, you locked it up at one price, and you flipped the contract to him and made a profit. And Darius, I'm going to let you explain the cool thing about the money on this, because folks don't even have to use their own money.
Yeah, that's one of the best parts, and that's why this strategy is highly recommended for people that are brand new, beginning. We understand that different people start from different financial means and financial backgrounds when they get into the game of real estate. And one of the biggest issues that we see new people face is twofold. Number one, it's lack of money and lack of income when they're new. They may have some money put away, but of course, the best way to always do real estate is to use OPM, which is other people's money. No matter how proficient and experienced you are within real estate, you always want to use other people's money, obviously for leverage purposes. So that's one of the biggest reasons why wholesale is so good, is being able to do these deals without your own money. Now, the other issue that a lot of people face when they're new to real estate is, and again, I want you to listen very closely, it's going too long without having a win. It's getting into real estate and maybe hearing some of the flack out there, maybe from media, friends, or family saying, you know what, that real estate thing doesn't work. No one's making money at it. You know, first off, nothing could be further from the truth at all, because real estate is the best income generating system out there in the whole entire world, not just in our country, but the whole world. The reason being is land will always exist. There'll always be a need for people to live on land and obviously till the land and to cultivate the land and to sell the land. There will always be value on that because we always need to live somewhere. That's never going to change. So that's one of our basic needs there, right? Food, water, shelter. Shelter being extremely important in what we're talking about. So when a lot of people get involved in real estate and they go too long without actually closing a deal, it allows maybe negative things from friends, family, media, and even more importantly, those negative doubts in your mind to seep in and to prevent you from moving forward, to stop you from overcoming the hurdles, because it's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be pretty. It's hard work and dedication, sacrifice, and patience within real estate. So the best thing about wholesale is the fastest strategy out there. There is no strategy that is faster than wholesale. You can close a wholesale deal, in theory, in a matter of a few hours. You find a great deal. You already have a buyer in place and a group of investors that you've been working with and representing. You email the deal over. Obviously, you have the property under contract, and bam, in a few hours, you've got yourself a deal there. You can wrap the thing up pretty quickly. You know, you're looking on average with a wholesale transaction, closing one anywhere between 15 and 30 days, start to finish. So nothing could be quicker. And you're looking at, depending on your area, you can make $1,000. Sometimes you can make $10,000. We've even made over $60,000 on a wholesale transaction that only took us about half a day worth of work. So it's one of the best strategies out there. You really need to be doing it. It's extremely powerful. And like Bob said, one of the best things is you don't have to use your own money at all. There's actually a lot of different types of funding sources out there, which you can take a look at in our private money section, that can help you get the capital that you might need to actually go do a wholesale transaction. So, Bob, I'd love for you to just break down kind of the last part of wholesale here, how a person actually gets paid. And I know we kind of went through it a few different ways, but if you can make it clear and simple for a viewer, that'd be great.
Actually, I'm going to do it through an example. I've got a really good friend of mine who's a single mother who hates to work. And so what happens is she has a couple of investors who love to buy property from her. And so she'll send out letters and she'll talk with sellers. She does it part-time on the phone, and she'll lock up properties under value and turn around and flip the contract to her investor. And because the property area that she's in, she makes $5,000 on the flip. So what happens is it goes to the closing table. The investor actually buys the property, and when the property closes and the investor buys the property from the original seller, she gets her commission out of the middle. So, she gets her commission not when she flips the contract, but actually when the deal closes and it's all dispersed by the closing entity, whether it's a title company or a law firm or whatever. Very, very, very simple. And she just, like I said, works very, 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 very part-time and gets an incredible income because of it.
Great. And I want to highlight right now what I view as the three biggest benefits of wholesale. I know that in the wording that you see there on the page, we did explain that we were going to go through that. So let's get into that now, and we'll wrap up with that. That'll be our closing thought. But the three biggest benefits of wholesale. Number one is it's quick and it's fast. I spoke about this before. A deal can close very quickly. We average between 15 and 30 days, and it's because there is not much work involved, which is reason number two. It's not time consuming. There is not a lot of physical work or even paperwork that you're doing. Really, what it comes